So something that I don't get, and there's many things I don't get, honestly, but I'm starting to understand is grass. And no, I'm not talking about the kind you smoke. I'm talking about the kind that grows in the yard and is green. Well, I guess both are green. But I know there's a huge community of like people who really love their lawn and take really good care of it and make it look really good, and it's like the kind of stuff you want to walk barefoot in. I've never liked walking in barefoot in grass. Something about it like really grosses me out. I'm not somebody with a green thumb. I wasn't raised that way. My mom wasn't like that. I mean, we had houseplants in the house growing up, but I'm positive 99% of them were fake. I just know it. So they were all just decoration. And everyone of the houses we lived in, we paid for landscaping. And so it always looked nice, but we didn't actually do any of it. Cut the grass, maybe. And when we moved into this house, we cut the grass to try to save money. And eventually my nephew came around and said, hey, I'm starting a lawn care business. Can I cut your lawn? And we're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. One less thing for us to do. We get our weekends back. And now we just use the mower for whenever we just need to do like a small section or clear some shrubs or something like that. But I've never really understood like taking the time, spending the money. And we live in a house that was built in the 70s. So the grass is like, it's not that nice, thick, like rolled out turf. We do have some of that in some of the spots that we ripped up the grass or ripped up the plants and put grass down. That's very nice. In fact, we've got so many different kinds of grass in our yard. I don't know what they are, but you can tell, but just by looking at them and feeling them, they're different. We're the yard in the neighborhood, unfortunately, who has all the dandelions, and who the people who pay to get all their grass like done by like a company to make sure it looks good. Our dandelions blow in their yard and spread. That being said, not everybody in the neighborhood does that, but our grass is like very thin. I'm sure if I did research on it, which, maybe I would know what kind of grass it is, how to make it thicker, how to make it better, and spend all that time and money in it. But I think I'd rather go to Disney. So as we get into summer, we're ending spring, coming into summer here. It's starting to be more time to be outside, and I realized like what very, very little that I know of grass is like the yard probably needs to be rolled. It needs to be like that drum with the water in it to level it or flatten it because it's lumpy and it feels like we're walking on rocks, but it's dirt. It needs to be aerated, which I think is the thing that like pokes holes in it and they look little poos sitting around in your yard, but it like gets the air in. I don't know. I don't know what any of that does. I just know that happens, and I know a little bit about a lot of things and not enough to be any good at it, but just enough to speak about, I don't know, what was that? 3 minutes of it, 3 seconds of it. So I've never understood that. As I'm getting older and everything goes back to age, I don't care what the outside of our house looks like. I really don't. As long as it's not like unsightly and unkept, I don't care. I don't care about the dandelions. The kids like it. They go away eventually anyways. I fertilized this year. I put bug stuff down so we don't get ticks and ants and grubs and things like that. So we do all that stuff. We don't pay anybody for that. I just go out and do that real quick and end up with stripes in the yard, but it's green. It's fine. But I'm starting to understand the more that we have a yard, like you want it to look good. Like I hate picking up sticks. I really do. We've got a ton of trees out here. A lot of them are really old, and because of the wind, because of the rain, whatever it might be, the sticks are always falling and the kids are stepping on. Owen, our son, stepped on a stick and he got a foot infection. We had to take him to the doctor, and he couldn't walk on it for a while. So we now have to pick up these sticks. We've cut down two trees, I think we've cut down, and trimmed a bunch back just to try to get more sun on the backyard. The backyard has so many trees that it's kind of muggy and wet all the time, which we have a nice little deck we had built, but we don't get to use it that much because it's always like muggy and buggy out there. So it's about the time where we got to start spraying for the bugs anyways. We do have a company come in and do that because just to keep like ants and stuff out of the house. And we've had the basement sealed when we had our black mold issue. That was a whole thing. But I'm starting to realize that maybe there's something to this grass thing. And I don't necessarily prescribe to buying all the equipment or paying somebody thousands of dollars just to get that like perfect green grass. That's not my thing. Again, I'd rather be buying camera gear or out riding the e-bike instead of doing that, or this camera stuff. But I am starting to understand like what it is, like why people like it. And I'm starting to come around that with like a lot of things, like the true crime things or mysteries. I never understood that up until recently, and I kind of understand it now, but I've always been of the mindset that like there's so much like negative stuff going around anyways. Like, why would you want to spend your time watching something like that just kind of always has some kind of negative and looks at like the worst part of like humanity, or humanity at its worst, we'll say that, when you could be watching a comedy and something happy, or and then the flip side is you're watching something that would look really fun, like The Office. Like, you think, oh hey, it'd be great if, you know, that was the way work was. But honestly, if the work was really like that, you'd probably be the Dwight, and it wouldn't be great for you. So all that said, I'm always looking for a new hobby because I can't stick with one hobby, which was another video a couple days ago, I think, or last week. I think we talked about it. Because what is today? Today's the beginning of the week, so it would have been last week. And I don't know, maybe like that would be a fun little side project to do. Like work on like a little, like, I don't know, 2 by 2 foot square piece of grass and just make it like really good and just see, not spend a bunch of money. I don't know if you take like scissors and cut it, or I don't know what you would do. But I'm starting to understand why people do it. Why people, and again, everybody has a hobby, and all hobbies cost money. I don't know what it is, but it just, every hobby costs money. Like people are like, oh, running is cheap. It's not cheap. Shoes, clothes. If you're going to be running competitively, you know, it's like the fees to do that. If you're going down to like a Run Disney thing, I mean, that's really expensive. Or like my brother used to do it. He'd go to Chicago, or he'd go to another city to do a running marathon. Like, it's not cheap. There really isn't anything cheap. I guess if your hobby was writing stuff, it would just be pens and paper. But even books, reading, it's expensive. My wife, that's her hobby, is reading. And we actually stopped buying books and just switched them all to Audible and the electronic books, like a Kindle. She just got another Kindle after not having one for years, and she absolutely loves it. She can read in the dark. She can take it anywhere. She can hold a ton of books without carrying around a trunk of books. So I'm starting to come around to it, is I guess my point. And I'm always interested to see, as my perception of things change, like how it changes. So like as a kid, you know, you didn't like tomatoes. Potentially I didn't like tomatoes. I thought they were disgusting. They were watery, and I don't know if they were acidic or whatnot, but they didn't taste good. And now I like the sugar bombs, or whatever they're called, flavor bombs. They look like cherry tomatoes, but they're a little more round. Those are really good. Like, you could just pop them as like you would grapes, and they're fantastic. It's also good for like my blood pressure and things of that nature. But it's funny to now look back and be like, oh yeah, I really didn't like that as a kid, and now I'm like, oh, I kind of like that now. But and then when there's things that are like more recent, like the grass thing, like I would have never said I'm not an outdoors person. Like, I like being outdoors, but I don't like hiking. I don't like bugs. I don't like camping. I don't like any of that. I like watching videos about it on YouTube, but I don't like actually doing it. I'd rather stay in a hotel or an RV or whatever it might be. But it's fun to see like how that perspective changes, and like sometimes you just have to be open to new experiences, new ideas, because if you don't give them a chance, or if you prejudge them, like it doesn't give you could be missing out on something that you might really enjoy or want to waste your money on. I don't know. So I guess the point is just give stuff a chance. It's what we tell our kids all the time.